Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Mary Brody. I'm the chair of the Board of Choral Arts New England, and welcome to the award ceremony, which is celebrating Choral Arts New England's 38th class of Alfred Nash Patterson Awards and the lifetime achievement of Dr. Peter Bagley, who we will honor today with our Lifetime Achievement Award. Today's ceremony is being live streamed and will be put up on our website at a future date. Choral Arts New England's mission is to elevate choral music and creativity, primarily through the awards we celebrate today. We also provide resources for choruses and choral singers, including our calendar and directory. Today's awards are a tribute to the creativity, skill, and devotion to all types of choral music that we see expressed so beautifully in choruses throughout New England. These awards are made at an interesting time. And yes, I am thinking of the Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times, when I say that. Choral music is coming back, it is back, after COVID imposed its huge initial challenge. But the challenges of COVID and its impact remain with us. Participation, audience, financial support continue to be affected. But choruses are still here, responding with ingenuity, resourcefulness, and Choral Arts New England, we're still here too, supporting choral music as it goes forward. So fittingly, I think, for a program celebrating choral music, we're going to start with some choral music. And I'm going to introduce, I guess, James Spillane, who is the conductor of the University of Connecticut Chamber Singers, and much more, to begin.
Wonderful honoring of so many of our mentors, so many of our main mentor, Dr. Peter Bagley. We are just singing this piece. It's Exultate, Sing Joy to God, a new arrangement by Brian Galante, pretty fun for us. So this is Exultate.
We're going to begin with the Alfred Nash Patterson Awards. These are going to be presented by Jonathan Harvey, who is chair of our grants committee, and David Giesho, who is a member of the board and that committee. There will be a video component, and I'll let Jonathan and David introduce you to that.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I'm Jonathan Harvey. As Mary said, I'm the chair of the Grants Committee of Choral Arts New England. And as we began the grant-making process for 2022, we weren't sure what kinds of projects we would see come in. During our application window, which was the first 2 months of the year, what was going to be possible in the next year was more or less completely unknown. There was a burgeoning sense of optimism, but there was also an Omicron wave at the same time. We decided that we wanted to be open to the full creative force and potential of the New England choral community, but that we would prioritize a few what we thought were key considerations. First, does the project contribute to the artistic development and well-being of the general public? Is the project a creative response to current events? Does the project benefit choral singing into the future? Does the project contribute to greater inclusion, equity, and diversity in the choral arts? Does the project benefit underserved populations? And we were particularly interested in getting applications for capacity building projects that would allow organizations to position themselves more strongly moving into an unknown future. From that call, we received 41 project proposals requesting a total of over $90,000. And with the success of the Voice for Voices capital campaign that you'll hear more about in a moment, we were in a position to give more grants and fund those grants at a higher level than ever before. We were able to give more than we ever have before. And by the end of our considerations, we found ourselves inspired and invigorated as we gave almost $26,000 to 13 incredibly creative projects across all 6 New England states. And I'll let David tell you about the first one.
The first one, in alphabetical order, is the Bagaduce Music Lending Library, their Anna Demska choral program, The Harmony of Maine. This project is a vocal concert featuring 3 centuries of choral music written by Maine composers, from the Shakers to Paul Sullivan, including the premiere of a piece by Anna Demska in honor of the Maine bicentennial. The goal for this concert is to promote and celebrate the unique historical and modern music of Maine, written by Maine composers. This concert is part of the From Our Collection Unexpected Music in Unexpected Places series, designed to showcase diverse works held in the Bagaduce Music Library collection. This year's concert offerings include jazz, choral, folk, cabaret, banjo, pre-World War II LGBTQ music, and a family concert featuring woodwinds, strings, and a narrator.
The second project that we will introduce you to is the Boston Children's Chorus project entitled Opus Nuovo, a diverse approach to the choral canon in the 21st century. And we have Boston Children's Chorus's managing director, Irene Idicheria, who will be accepting the grant.
So on behalf of our leadership, our staff, board, and most importantly, our young artists, I want to extend our sincere and heartfelt appreciation for your support. BCC was founded by a renowned social activist, Hubie Jones, and we are now celebrating our 20th anniversary season. And we take deep pride in our roots and our promise to Boston's community of young artists to not only be a place where they can hone their artistry, but also use that artistry to cultivate empathy and inspire social change and inquiry. So your funding is allowing us to continue leading into our mission, specifically through our Opus Nuovo project, which I want to tell you a little bit about. It's in its 2nd iteration now, and it's designed to identify, commission, and collaborate with global composers and artists to facilitate the creation of a collection of new choral works which align with BCC's vision of cultural equity and represent a diverse spectrum of global musical styles and approaches. In the creation of these works, artists will work closely and directly with our children and community to mine textual and musical ideas, which will form the backbone of the commission. So last year, we got to partner with Mexican-American composer Jorge Sosa, and we premiered Rising Tide, which is a 3-part choral opera about climate change and the urgency of youth voice in calling for immediate action. This year, we will perform the live premiere of Haitian-American composer Sidney Guillaume's Finding a Home on November 20th at Old South Church. That is a plug. I don't have a date yet, so if you're doing nothing on that day, come with me. And this season, we are collaborating with vocal artist and activist Zakiya Sutton. In addition to serving as a guest performing artist with us at our annual MLK showcase at Symphony Hall, Zakiya is going to lead our singers through a range of spoken word and hip-hop workshops that will center themes of racial justice through arts activism. The writing workshops will also culminate in a new commissioned piece that will premiere at our finale concert at the Strand Theatre in May. So all that to say is that your support is driving transformational change that is long, long overdue. So thank you so much.
The next recipient is the Brattleboro Music Center, and here to tell us more about the Brattleboro Camerata's Renaissance-inspired commission is the Camerata's music director, Jonathan Harvey.
So I want to reassure you, as the chair of the Grants Committee, that we have strenuous conflict of interest policies in place. So, that having been said, the Brattleboro Camerata is an 18-voice chamber choir that focuses on Renaissance-era and Renaissance-inspired repertoire, and our singers are professionals and dedicated amateurs from across Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Connecticut. This is a true New England ensemble. I founded the Camerata under the auspices of the Brattleboro Music Center in fall 2021. And in the second half of our second season, this spring, we'll be preparing a concert called The Want of You, Renaissance Music and the Future. It's a program that pairs Renaissance-era works by Gesualdo, Victoria, Tallis, Morley, and Palestrina with later works that were directly influenced by them by composers like Rena Esmail, Anton Bruckner, P.D.Q. Bach, and William Harris. This Alfred Nash Patterson grant has allowed us to commission composer Kitty Brazelton, who teaches at Bennington College in Vermont, to write us a madrigal in exaggerated emotional mannerist style, setting a poem by early 20th century Black American journalist and poet Angelina Weld Grimke called The Want of You. And I'll read you that poem now. A hint of gold where the moon will be, through the flocking clouds, just a star or two. Leaf sounds, soft and wet and hushed, and oh, the crying want of you. So thank you so much to Choral Arts New England for this opportunity. We are truly grateful. And now I'll tell you about the next grant project. So the Chorus of Westerly, we funded their choral education after-school program with our Kane Board grant, which is sponsored by contributions from the board members of Choral Arts New England and is intended to advance the priorities of the board in any given year. In 2022, we were looking again for capacity building projects as organizations continue to find ways forward amid an unpredictable pandemic environment. And in lieu of their attendance here today, they have sent a short acceptance video that you'll see now.
Hello, I'm Andrew Howell, the narrating and Billcom music director of the Chorus of Westerly. We are so grateful to Choral Arts New England for your support of our after-school program, which is giving the opportunity to around 120 children in 6 after-school programs here in the area to make choral music together. We are so grateful, and thank you very much.
Next up, the Greater Middletown Choral Timeless Seasons Concert Project. This was funded by the Richard Coffey Grant instituted by friends of the visionary conductor and organist Richard Coffey. It seeks to support projects of any kind that are transformative for the funded institution, whether musical, organizational, or experiential. And now from the Greater Middletown Choral, we have Artistic Director Joe DiEugenio and Managing Director Robert O'Brien.
Good afternoon. It is wonderful to be here with everyone today and to be joined here by our Managing Director, Robert O'Brien. We'd like, of course, to thank Kane for the extraordinary support for this project that we're working on and that is occurring next Sunday. The Greater Middletown Choral is a large mixed chorus. Under its umbrella, we have a chamber, professional chamber music ensemble called Alchemy, and a string symphony called Harmonia. And it's through these ensembles that we get to explore all kinds of music as an organization. We principally focus on I would say the masterworks, and particularly in juxtaposition with new works. The next week's concert's an excellent example of this work that we have been involved in. We're singing Vivaldi's Gloria, and of course, when you hear the name Vivaldi, the Gloria, in terms of choral music, comes right to mind. Also, perhaps his Four Seasons. And it is sort of in the spirit of Vivaldi's music that his music inspired composer Martin Sedek to write an original composition, also called The Four Seasons, that brings in some of the themes from the Vivaldi Four Seasons, some of the musical themes. And most importantly, it takes the text that Vivaldi wrote that inspired his Four Seasons, these four beautiful sonnets that Vivaldi used to inspire his music. And this was the source text for Martin's work. So it's been a real joy through the partnering organization Orchestra New England with us for this concert, and along with our own different groups with underneath the Greater Middletown to explore both of these wonderful works, the Vivaldi Gloria and Martin Sedek's Four Seasons, inspired by Vivaldi's Four Seasons. Is that confusing enough? Maybe. But there you get the idea. So we're really grateful for this support. And if you're here in Connecticut, come next Sunday. I will put a little plug out there. Middletown High School. Thanks for everything, everybody. Nice to see everyone today.
The next grant we want to highlight went to the Lorelei Ensemble for their Look Up concert project. And this received the Choral Arts New England Board Chairs Grant, which is sponsored by contributions from the former chairs and vice chairs of Choral Arts New England. In 2022, this was specifically meant to go toward a unique commissioning project. And again, They were unable to be here today, but sent a brief video acceptance, so enjoy.
Dr. Peter Bagley, one of the pathfinders for African American choral conductors and Professor Emeritus from the University of Connecticut. He received his Bachelor of Science in Music Education at the Crane School of Music, State University of New York in Potsdam, and his Master's and Doctorate in Choral Music under Julius Herford at Indiana University. Dr. Bagley
One
taught
moment
public
as we
school music in
cue up
Greenwich,
the
Connecticut
correct video.
from
We'll see that one later.
Hello, I'm Andrew Howell, the Marion and Bill Tom Music Director of the Choruses.
Skip ahead. Skip ahead. Okay. We'll come back to that momentarily. If it comes on, I'll stop. Next up, the Manchester Symphony Orchestra and Choral. Music she wrote and works of underrepresented composers' performance projects. This is funded by the Hammond Family Grant, instituted by Carrie and Jonathan Hammond. It's intended to support a collaborative effort or to celebrate a milestone, preferably in Connecticut. And I believe we have the Manchester Symphony Orchestra Choral Vice President, Linda Cromwell, here to tell us more.
Oh, good, they have a step for me. I can see over the podium. No, I'm fine. Thanks. Yes, I'm Linda Cromwell. I'm here representing Manchester Symphony Orchestra and Choral's Board of Directors, musicians, and singers. As they said, I am the Vice President for the Choral on the board, and I've been singing with MSOC for over 40 years. MSOC serves a diverse region and provides educational and performance opportunities for community members and the next generation of musicians and singers. The organization has been in existence for over 60 years, and it's quite a unique organization because we have a chorale and a full orchestra under the same roof. So it's convenient, but challenging at the same time. We're very thankful for Choral Arts New England for awarding us this grant for our 2 choral concerts featuring underrepresented composers. The first concert, Music She Wrote, features choral music written or arranged by women. The music covers centuries from the 1100s to today, as well as many different countries and areas. If I'm correct, I think we're singing in 7 different languages, including Arabic and Basque. Many pieces are written with sacred texts, like the Dixit Dominus by Mariana Martinez. Some are written as expressions of poems, like The Negro Speaks of Rivers, which was composed by Margaret Bonds to a poem by Langston Hughes. And others deal with love, sorrow, or hope, like Peace I Leave With You by Amy Beach. That concert will be held on, coming up, we're in the final stages here, on December 3rd in Manchester. The second concert the chorale will be joined by Manchester Symphony Orchestra's full orchestra for an evening of choral orchestra music by underrepresented composers of the 18th and 20th centuries. The planned works will include the Chariot Jubilee by Canadian-American Black composer Robert Nathaniel Dett, the Complete Dixie's Dominus by classical Austrian composer of Spanish descent Mariana Martinez. The chorale will do just the first part in our concert in December. And that concert will be held on Saturday, April 1st in 2023 at Manchester High School. Consistent with our mission, both performances will be joined by music students from Manchester Community College and possibly Manchester High School. We believe it is important for them to not just to sing or play outside of school, but also to have the opportunity to see themselves being represented by the composers of the wonderful music they're singing or playing. For many of them, it may be the first time they've worked with a full orchestra. The grant we received will allow us to perform all of this wonderful music. We, the performers, are very much looking forward to performing this amazing music, and we hope our audiences will also enjoy this music. Thank you again very much for this opportunity.
So unfortunately, the acceptance video from the Lorelei Ensemble is not going to be available to us today, but if you tune in online, we will insert it there before it goes up on the internet. So you can find it there after the ceremony. I do want to tell you about the next project, the Middlebury Community Music Center's Western Vermont Choral Lab and Community Sing, which received the Saxton Family Grant, instituted by Jonathan Saxton and Barbara Fox, which is intended to support a unique, engaging effort in an underserved area or by a non-auditioned choir. The Western Vermont Choral Lab's first season of 12 weeks is organized into one non-auditioned choir of about 40 singers and one smaller auditioned choir of up to 12 singers, and combines Moira Smiley's signature arrangements of folk songs, her own choral compositions, works by vocal composers of all stripes, as well as improvising and composing and arranging as an ensemble. The approach is kinetic, joyous, and highly attuned to context and detail in the traditions and compositions she leads. In partnership with the Middlebury Community Music Center, 3 guest song leaders are also invited to deepen the musical and cultural experience of singing. The 12 weeks culminate in a joyous outdoor sing that invites the greater community to a sing-along concert, and the project includes a volunteer effort to provide rides to singers in partnership with the Vermont Refugee Resettlement Agency and migrant farm worker organizations to make this a welcoming and accessible singing experience for both new and established Vermonters. So we are very excited to be able to fund that project.
Next is the Ogonce Arts Foundation. Their program is grants for beginning music teachers, and I understand that the vice president of the Ogonce Arts Foundation, Susan Bosworth, is here to tell us more. Susan? Okay, I'll tell you about it then. Ogonce Arts Foundation is committed to supporting music educators in providing quality choral instruction and in developing a love of singing in their students. This project supports 50% tuition grants to a number of teachers earlier in their careers, making it affordable for them to attend the 33rd annual Ogonce Choral Workshop. This week-long event attracts musicians from throughout New England and beyond, and is open to singers of all ages and experience levels without auditioning. It provides an opportunity, 1, to study significant repertoire with a master conductor, 2, to experience outstanding teaching, conducting methods and practices as modeled by David Hill and Paula Rockwell, and 3, to interact with other singers and conductors.
The The next project we were fortunate enough to be able to support was the Providence Singers Singing for Social Justice, a commission, collaboration, and premiere project. This project includes the commission and premiere of a major new choral work on the theme of social justice for performance in collaboration with an area gospel choir. It's undertaken with several purposes in mind: to expand the choral art through the commission and performance of new choral music, to support and encourage the work of Black composers, to engage a broader audience with a wide variety of music, to expand their audience by partnering with other arts organizations, to encourage singers who might not otherwise consider auditioning for a classical choir, and to coordinate with their organization's plans to foster diversity, equity, and inclusion. The project also includes the launch of In Harmony, a new after-school choral program for high school students in low-income, minority-majority urban communities. The program is free to the students, and in addition to weekly rehearsals, the program includes guest musicians and tickets to concerts by the Providence Singers and other area arts organizations.
Next, the Seraphim Singers will receive the Irving Forbes Centennial Grant, which is intended to support projects involving community choruses, performing large works with orchestra and/or music that celebrates nature and the outdoors. They have sent this short explanation of the project. Seraphim is honored to have been awarded the 2022 Irving Forbes Centennial Grant from Kane. The award will support a commissioned piece by Minnesota composer Edie Hill on a climate change text by Danielle Cadena Doolin. The work will be set for chorus, water glasses, and handheld percussion instruments. In the poem by Doolin, remix with a few lines from Keats, she wakes during the night, looks in on her children, and is overwhelmed by the reality of the crisis. Like Keats in Ode to a Nightingale, she wants to render herself numb, but realizes whether awake or asleep, the crisis cannot be escaped, only faced head-on. The new piece will be part of Songs of Earth, a public concert program of love songs and laments for Earth, our common home. In addition to the new piece, works by many other women composers will be included. The concerts are scheduled for March 4th, 2023 in Newton and March 5th in Cambridge, Massachusetts. There will be pre-concert forums on the piece, the poem, and how climate change adversely impacts minority populations and those with marginal incomes. The composer and poet will be present. We're deeply grateful for the support from Kane and are excited about this project. That's from Daryl Bichelle, president of the Seraphim Board of Directors.
We were also able to fund a project by the Vermont Symphony Orchestra, a world premiere of a piece by Matthew Evan Taylor, premiered very recently, a commissioned work for chorus and orchestra by Dr. Matthew Evan Taylor titled From Despair, Light, which is based on gospel choral traditions of hymn lining. The event will also include a workshop with Dr. Taylor for middle and high school composition students. And it's a very exciting project.
Next, the West Hartford Women's Choral, Festival of Women's Voices. I understand West Hartford Women's Chorus board member Karen Bachman is here to tell us more. Is Karen here? Okay, I'll tell you more. West Hartford's Women's Chorale has a history of raising the awareness of women's choral music in the community through community concerts, performances, and collaborations with other music organizations. In March 2024, the group will feature the music of Dr. Rosephanie Powell at a Festival of Women's Voices, bringing together adult and student women's choirs from the Hartford region to participate in workshops of Ms. Powell's compositions. The day culminates in a public concert of individual choir performances as well as a collaborative multi-choir intergenerational performance of 2 of Ms. Powell's pieces. The festival has an educational focus by educating our singers and audience about Dr. Powell and enhancing the singers' performance skills through the direction of this highly renowned composer-conductor. In composer workshops, singers have the unique opportunity to learn firsthand the composer's musical intentions and interpretations for each of the pieces performed. And I think
There's some great projects, aren't they? We're really delighted to support them. Next, we would like to report on our fundraising campaign. Last year, we reported about it. It encourages us all to be a voice for voices. And Greg Brown, who is a member of our board and Chair Emeritus, is going to provide an update.
Thank you so much. Last year, we were nearing the end of our largest fundraising effort, a mammoth effort to double our giving capacity. I am happy to report that our Voice for Voices campaign was a huge success, and we are overjoyed to be able to share the fruits of this success with the choral communities in New England. When I first came onto the board 5 years ago, I served on the Grants Committee, helping to decide how and where our grant monies were deployed. We all agreed that there were far more worthy programs in our area that deserved funding, and that our limitations were deeply frustrating. When we began our campaign, our endowment was just over $300,000. We are now well over $600,000 and growing. This has enabled us to approximately double our giving capacity. We all thank our campaign committee, led by Jonathan Saxton, for their enduring patience and energy towards this huge task. I would like to make a special note of the fact that we began our campaign before the pandemic and before the countless reschedulings, postponements, financial insecurities, and personal and organizational losses that we all endured. This campaign played a big role in making it possible for Choral Arts New England to support organizations through this hiatus, and we are grateful for that as well. Towards the end of the campaign, we pushed in a new direction with the creation of 2 new grant initiatives in honor of John Oliver and David Hoos. These new funds will provide grants in a slightly different and more targeted way. We are very excited to begin accepting grant proposals in coming seasons. Please keep an eye out for more details and information as we continue to lay that groundwork. The open phase of our Voice for Voices campaign is officially over, but we are by no means closed to accepting additional donations. We will gladly accept gifts of any amount at any time. Please speak with us afterwards or visit our website if you would like more information. I will close by again thanking everyone who has already donated. Your gifts make a direct and tangible difference in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, and thanks to everyone who's contributed. Next, we are turning to the presentation of the Lifetime Achievement Award. We are very privileged to confer this award on Dr. Peter Bagley, Professor Emeritus of Music at the University of Connecticut. Dr. Bagley is one of the pathfinders for African American choral conductors, and over his long career was teacher, mentor, leader, and inspiration to many. Dr. Bagley is unable to join us today, but we are able through video to bring him here in a small way. We've asked Jonathan Harvey, who has worked with Dr. Bagley, to assist in this presentation. So, Jonathan.
So before I say a few words, I believe we have a video that you saw a little preview of a little earlier to introduce you to Peter.
Dr. Peter Bagley, one of the pathfinders for African American choral conductors and Professor Emeritus from the University of Connecticut. He received his Bachelor of Science in Music Education at the Crane School of Music, State University of New York at Potsdam, and his Master's and Doctorate in Choral Music under Julius Herford at Indiana University. Dr. Bagley taught public school music in Greenwich, Connecticut from 1957 to 1962. While teaching in Greenwich, he sang with the Collegiate Choral in New York City, led by Robert Shaw. He was appointed Director of Choral Activities at the University of Connecticut in 1984. Prior to UConn, Dr. Bagley was Professor of Music at the State University of New York College at New Paltz for 16 years. Dr. Bagley has been an invited guest conductor and choral clinician for numerous festivals throughout the country, including more than 14 all-state choirs. His numerous awards include a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Connecticut ACCA in 2014 and numerous other major awards. Dr. Bagley's teaching, both in the classroom and with choirs across the country, reached and molded the musical lives of countless young people. We congratulate Dr. Peter Bagley on a lifetime of service to the choral arts.
There are many people who know Peter Bagley better than I do, and have known him for a longer time. I'm honored, though, to share some of the moments that I've had with Peter the same way that I would if he were able to be here with us today. I was a doctoral student at the University of Connecticut from 2012 to 2015. And by the time I began my studies there, Peter had been retired from the Director of Choral Activities position for several years. In fact, I started at UConn at the same time that Jamie Spillane did. I was Jamie's very first doctoral student. Peter was still around, though, and I was very aware of his legacy at the school. In fact, I had hoped to encounter Peter in a completely different capacity a year earlier. In summer 2011, I worked in administration for the Yale Summer School of Music, or the Norfolk Chamber Music Festival. And toward the end of each summer there's a one-week session called the Chamber Choir and Choral Conducting Workshop, led by Simon Carrington. And this was what I was looking forward to all summer. As I was working with Simon leading up to the workshop, I heard that the year before, Peter Bagley had come up for the final concert and acted as a kind of unofficial photographer, taking pictures of the fellows before the performance and during the dress rehearsal. And I was excited to have the chance to meet him, but as the day approached, we discovered that there had been a misunderstanding between he and Simon. Peter thought the concert was on Sunday, and it was in fact on Saturday, so he was unable to come. I was disappointed, but I remember being really struck by the tone of his messages about this misunderstanding. He was so kind, so apologetic, in a way that almost shocked me. So that was my first interaction with Peter, as a man comfortable with mistakes, comfortable with vulnerability. When I began studying at UConn in fall 2012, I reached out to Peter to ask whether he would be willing to sit down for a coffee or a meal just to connect with him. He enthusiastically accepted, and I think was particularly tickled by the fact that we were both had degrees from Indiana University. He called me his fellow Hoosier whenever we would see each other. This was the beginning of a sort of tradition of a meal or two each semester that we would have together. Sometimes it was just the two of us. Sometimes it was with Aaron Brown or Mark Singleton. Sometimes we would talk about repertoire that I was working on. He was usually most interested in whatever large choral orchestral work I was preparing at that particular time. Other times we would talk about the conductor's process more broadly. Sometimes we would follow lunch with a conducting lesson. And I remember him talking to me about the conductor's practice as a very solitary one. Sure, we rehearse and perform with big groups of musicians, but the preparatory work, the repertoire selection, the score study, the rehearsal preparation is all on your own. And the performance and rehearsal work is just the tip of the iceberg. That private work is the massive hidden element of every conductor's life. I also remember him telling me that you need to work hard to connect with other conductors, since it often doesn't happen naturally. I think he was touched that I had initially reached out to him the way that I had. In our few lessons, we never spent much time on physical gesture. Instead, we mostly talked about the ways that small expressive moments in an extended work combine together to create the emotional trajectory of the whole piece. The essential work, then, is finding those moments and finding how to weave them into a united and cohesive whole. This was the lens through which we approached works like the Mozart Requiem, Brahms' Requiem, Haydn's Creation, Lauridsen's Midwinter Songs, and Vaughan Williams' A Sea Symphony. And I still think about extended works in this way, the idea of an emotional journey that needs to have way stations and landmarks. While studying at UConn, I ended up participating as a fellow in Simon's workshop at Norfolk, as a singer in summer 2013, and as a conductor in summer 2014. In both of those years, Peter was there on concert day taking pictures of the fellows arrayed around this big antique classic car. It was funny to have these two giants of the profession, Peter Bagley and Simon Carrington, directing us to turn our head a little further to the left to catch the light better, or to climb a little higher on the fender so that we could be seen over someone else's shoulder. The concert was ostensibly the main event of the day, but these photos were quite the production, and there was a lot of laughter. After I graduated from UConn in 2015, my first job was as the sabbatical replacement for choir director T.J. Harper at Providence College down in Rhode Island for the fall 2015 semester. For the main concert, I programmed a set of pieces by nearby living composers who all came to the concert. They included Nathan Fletcher, who was an undergraduate student at UConn while I was there and is now an acclaimed composer, Ken Fuchs, professor of composition at UConn, Mike Kriegler, who is a pianist and lecturer at Providence College, Greg Brown, who is here today and immediate past president of Choral Arts New England, and Peter Bagley. I had the concert choir at Providence College prepare Peter's arrangement of the spiritual Live a Humble. It's a piece that's been arranged by many highly acclaimed composers, including Jester Hairston and Stacey V. Gibbs, but Peter's version is a true classic. For those of you who don't know the piece, it is so fun for singers. It's rhythmically really intense and driving. The bass part is an all-time favorite of mine personally as a bass. There are all these dynamic contrasts and a great tenor solo. The spiritual itself is focused on the idea of triumph, and the setting captures it really effectively. Peter generously responded to my invitation, made the trip down to Providence for the concert, and after the concert, he made a point of not only connecting with me, but also finding that tenor soloist and thanking him, which was such a telling gesture, I thought, a testament to his decades of work fostering the abilities of young students. So as a proud Husky and a huge fan of Peter Bagley, I could not be more pleased to present him with Choral Arts New England's 2022 Lifetime Achievement Award. And I'd like to invite Jamie Spillane to the podium to accept the award on his behalf.
And I certainly wish that Peter could be here, and I feel a little unworthy as a representative to accept this in his honor. This is certainly not for Peter. Peter, the thing that I find most poignant is seeing the effect that Peter continues to have on our state and New England. If you think of just our state, all these community and professional choirs, Aaron Brown, Mark Singleton, Jack Pott, what are other ones? Joe DiGenuo. All these folks touch not some people, but loads of people. And throughout our area, every week, every year, Peter's legacy is there. So he has touched each one of us. And as Jonathan said, he talked about how Peter came in and touched him. I first came to know Peter in 1976. I was actually a percussionist in the All-State Band, and Peter directed the All-State Choir. But I pretty much wore out the record of Peter directing his choir, but especially Live a Humble. Live a humble Lord, live a humble Lord, humble yourself, oh well, the bell done rung. It rings in my head today, anytime I think of Peter. And so I learned how to do his piece through his interpretation and that record. When I became a high school director, Peter came down to listen to my concerts. And one of my favorite moments, we sang this incredible arrangement of Steal Away, which my choir is working on now. And it's the Chanticleer arrangement, the trumpet, the trumpet, the trumpet, the trumpet. And we have this tenor who soars above, and it finishes like this. And at the end, it's absolutely silent. And Peter's in the 5th or 6th row, and he goes, bravo. And you could hear it over the whole audience. That's a touchstone moment for mine, that I made Peter Bagley say bravo when I was a high school director. So it is my great honor to be here today, to bring my own choir, but to be in this family of us, Joe, Jonathan, Allie, all these folks who were affected by Peter, whether as students or even just in the community. We are honored. We are honored to know him, and it is our great gift to honor him today. So thank you for inviting me to be here. And on Peter's behalf and the University of Connecticut's behalf, we will have this, and I think we're going to do some kind of presentation. We're going to make some still life right there in our lobby of this award and Peter. Okay, so thank you for having me.
And we also wanted to make sure that Peter's voice was here with us today, so we also have a brief video where we can see him.
And I remember sitting next to him in church, and I was in the whole maybe 5. And the minute the music came on, I just was totally focused on that, either the organ or the choir. After the sermon, I just that's normal. But bang, music started. There it is. So I would come home, because we always have to take off our Sunday school Sunday dress, put on hopefully something that's going to be much more comfortable for the remainder of the day. So I would do that, and I'd grab my big brother's bathrobe, which had nice big floppy sleeves, and I had his coffee table and cigar butts, and I would put cigar butts on the table, and then I would pretend to be the choir director, so I would nod in altos and nod sopranos. So you see, it was a done deal before I even knew it. So that's about the specifics of my beginning, if you will. So I'm still nodding in the sopranos and hushing down the altos. And I loved being in Greenwich. I was the first African American to teach in Greenwich. That was a monster. Now this is in the 50s, the late 50s, because I graduated in 1957. This is pre-Civil War, pre-Civil rights, and a little bit of Civil War too. But not really. But Greenwich today, and as it was a very close society, extremely wealthy citizens. And so school Greenwich is broken up into little, should I say, townships or districts, but still Greenwich, Connecticut was the main focus. So after all of the schools, basically, the students would go to Greenwich High School. And my arrival there was mixed only because I was expecting a great deal. I didn't know what to expect. The unspoken response that I got is, you're here to teach. Be yourself. Do what you want to do. Do what you want. So that's what I did. And it surprised me that I could have students that well, that respond to some fairly sophisticated things I wanted to do. Now, of course, what I found out, again, just by trial and error, was that some of the best literature they responded to. One of the pieces that I taught them was William Burns' Ave Corpus, which is kind of a staple, if you will, for Renaissance music. They fell in love with that piece. Walking, oh, it's fabulous. Can we do the Ave? Oh, I want to see the Ave. It's just magic. I remember conducting this piece of thing, the movement of the Fourier record, and Luke St. Terry. And at one moment, everything quiets down, and everything settles down. And then the sopranos have to come in on the scene. And what's happening is that there's going to be modulation, but that one note is the modulation. The word is loose. So we got to that line. They say, here's what I said, no, I have everything. Everything. And I said, I have everything. And I said, I have everything. And I said, that's me, bro. And they looked at each other like, I didn't know I could sing that softly. It wasn't, and I said, no, it's not softly. 3 P's there. No. I appealed to their imagination by saying, this is yours. This is where we're going to go. And in that way, they understood not only that passage, but the rest of the chorus that comes in understood where they were coming from. So it's a voyage.
Next up is some music. And I think that we're going to hear the Lily of the Valley, arranged by Wendell Wallem. And I believe this is a piece that Dr. Bagley really loved, which is why we're going to be hearing it today.
A few years ago, with
Brow taking the lead and Mark Singleton's help, we celebrated Peter Bagley's 80th birthday at UConn, and we had almost 120 alumni and current UConn students come to UConn for that event, and Peter conducted. It was really just a wonderful celebration of him, his students, and his community. And he chose this piece, The Lily of the Valley, and Mark reminded me of it a few weeks ago. And Lisa was asking me, why do you think Peter chose that? I love the text. Wendell Whalum was the director of choirs at Morgan State for years. And when we did it at the birthday celebration, Peter had found this young man who spoke in the style of Martin Luther King. And I'm pretty sure this was the piece. We sang Lily of the Valley, and he spoke the text of the I Have a Dream speech over the quieter parts of this. So as we sing this Lily of the Valley, I just want you to remember what that speech is like. And it was a wonderful synthesis of speech and sound. So this is Wendell Whalum's arrangement of Lily.
Oh,
another piece, and this is another piece that Peter chose for his 80th birthday celebration. And this is the Agnus Dei and Dona Nobis Pacem from the Harmonia Messa of Franz Joseph Haydn. I welcome anyone up to come sing with us. If you're comfortable singing this work, join us. Great. This piece is sometimes called the wind band mass because in full orchestration there are so many wind instruments. And it is true Haydn. We start with this beautiful Agnus Dei Latin child that makes its way through the world with a quartet at the 80th birthday celebration. We
Well, that was great. Thank you to our wonderful singers and to everybody who joined them. I just have a few closing remarks to make before we go to the next festivities, and they are simply to thank you all for helping us celebrate the diverse choruses who have received the Alfred Nash Patterson grants and the Lifetime Achievement Award for Dr. Bagley. We'll let them go by. One of the things I love about choral music is that it's about both music and community. I can't imagine life without either of them. We've just had some great music, and we've celebrated some great music all afternoon. I'd like to invite you to celebrate community by joining us in a small reception in the Assyrian room, which is essentially behind us. If you go through that door on your left, my right, and keep going straight, you'll be there. And I hope you can join us there. Also, if any of you would like to share a tribute to Dr. Bagley, we are accepting them. We have a basket out front, or we will accept them. We're gathering them together. So thank you very much. You can join your tribute to ours, and see you at the reception.